I'm 16 weeks out from my next marathon, which for those of you new to the channel will be my third marathon. I've ran 3:27 and 3:09 so far in the last 2 years. I also pulled out of 2 marathons for various reasons. And I'm approaching this one a little bit differently, and that's what I want to talk about today. I just want to explain a bit about base training, what it is, and how I'm measuring the success of a base training phase. And this should hopefully be information that anybody with a marathon in their calendar can use. The way I'm doing it differently is I want to enter this marathon build, which we're calling 12 weeks, with a certain level of volume and a certain level of freshness in my body. And very simply, those are the 2 metrics and the only 2 metrics I'm focusing on for these next 4 weeks. When I look at my last 2 marathons, the first one I entered the build with no running volume because I just decided after quitting alcohol just to do a marathon. And the second one, I entered it off the back of an injury. So I was building up the volume, but also worried about how my body was going to respond and whether I was going to get injured again. Now this time, I've not been injured for over 18 months now, and I've managed to build a consistent volume for the past year, really. So it feels like a much better place to be in to start this period of base training. It can be very tempting for someone like me that loves the high intensity workouts, loves the progress, and likes to push hard, to want to gain fitness all the time. But I'm learning more and more that that's just not possible, and it just leads to burnout and most likely injury. So this phase of training is almost taking my foot off the gas, really, but still focusing on having a high volume, but of 90 to 95% easy running. We are going to sprinkle in some intensity, but that's going to be in the form of just short sprints and hill sprints and strides and maybe some 200-meter intervals, but it's all still easy. And what this is doing is just preparing my body for the peaking that we're going to aim for the race. So again, the only measures of success for this base training phase are the weekly volume that I'm able to hit and how fresh I'm feeling and how good I'm feeling. That sounds lovely. And when I learned that that's what we're going to be focusing on, I was like, no pressure. But living that day to day, it starts to actually feel too easy. But what I need to remember is that this is about long-term progress. And in my last 2 marathon builds, I've peaked the volume and the intensity and the strength work at the same time. I've, especially in my second marathon, turned up to the start line feeling a little unsure what pace I'm going to run, feeling I might be a bit overtrained. And this is exactly what we're trying to avoid now. When you look at my last 2 years of running, you'll see that I quite rapidly increased the volume to around 90 kilometers a week. But when I get to that point, it becomes unsustainable. And I then have a few months where I'm just very much at a lower volume and I'm having to take time off, whether that's through injury or just through, doing focused strength work, because I'm just feeling my body pushing back. So what we're trying to do this time before entering the build is have that already be my baseline. So for the next 3 to 4 weeks, I'm going to be aiming for 85 to 90 kilometers per week. But rather than those kilometers being a mixture of all the intensities, with some mostly easy, but then some long interval sessions and some long marathon pace work, this is going to be all easy. It gives my body time to adapt to that volume so that when we do start bringing in those intensities for the 12 weeks leading up to the race, it's much less of a shock. How this actually goes, time will tell, and I'm not setting a marathon goal yet for this race. It's another thing I'm doing differently because we're more focusing on the process, and when I get closer to the race, we'll then pick a goal. However, I'd be lying if I didn't say that I was thinking about what would be the absolute minimum for this race, and that would be to run under 3 hours. And I know that if the training all goes okay, this is probably only barring any major injury or illness, like that will happen. But we're trying to be more present in the training and just decide the actual goal and what pace I'm going to run at, maybe even 2 weeks before. The way to actually look at how you structure your base training is you've got to focus on the peak workout that you want to achieve. So if you are deciding to go with more of a goal and actually be working towards that the whole time, you need to look at what is the most difficult workout that I need to complete prior to the race that will give you the confidence you can run that time. And in that week, what does the total volume look like? And then you need to have your base training be up to 80% of that so that you enter that block with a solid base. So for my build, where I'm looking to get the base training to 85 to 90 kilometers a week and have my body be used to that, I'm aiming for a peak week of no more than 110 kilometers. And what will happen is I'll just be gradually swapping out some of those easy kilometers for some more intense intervals and some marathon specific work. In the next video, I'll actually take you through a week of what the actual base training looks like. And it's going to be very undramatic, to be honest, possibly for the next 4 weeks. But hopefully, if you can see it actually in practice, it will help you understand. And I'll try to make it applicable for whatever point in your training you're at. I'm always up for learning more. So if you have any more comments about base training, anything I've missed, just drop them in the comments and would love to hear from you.